I think we had a little bit of a technical difficulty. And can anyone hear me?
Hey, I can hear you.
You can hear me. Hey,
how you doing? How's it going,
you?
man?
Who are you?
Hey, who am I?
No. How are you? I'm saying, who are you?
How are you?
How are you? I don't know what I'm saying.
I'm doing good. It's Saturday night here. Saturday night. It's 8:30 p.m. on Saturday night. You're living in the future on Sunday.
I am. I'm not living as much in the future as I normally do because someone hit summertime down there in California.
I know. Can you believe this shit? It drives me mental. Every year we go through this. Every spring we go forward an hour, and then come like October, November we go back an hour, and it's such a hassle. I don't think in Japan you guys have to deal with that, right? You're just one time all the time.
One time, man. Just one time there. Hey, user one, tell us: are we loud enough, equally or not? I want to hear from someone out there.
User one.
Gareth. Hello. I am loud. You're loud.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Yes. We're not getting any feedback here. I took off the slow-mo accidentally that I did before, and that caused a little bit of problems before. But yeah, so we don't have summertime here. Don't have summertime or daylight savings time or whatever. Thank you, user one.
You do have summertime. I mean, you just don't
have a long summer. And it's not it's I'm renting space here in Japan, so they have summertime, and I do not enjoy it. It's hot, man. Hot.
Does it get really? You know what? It's funny you say that. I remember probably a year or two ago when I first discovered your channel, you were doing a review of a Minidisc unit, and throughout the whole video, all you did was like, man, I gotta wrap this up. It's so hot. I gotta get this shit over with. I'm like burning up back here.
The professionalism dripped like sweat from my brow. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a rough one.
It was a rough. You know what? I was born in southern Sweden, and back when I was born, it never went above 30 degrees or whatever that is in Fahrenheit. A typical summer day would be, you know, maybe rain coming in, and it's like 22, 23 degrees. You know, sometimes a little harder than that. And then we moved to California, which gets super hot, but it's dry. And then Colorado, super hot and dry. And then we moved to Canada, and I was like, this is the hottest weather I've ever experienced because it was humid, you know?
The humidity, yeah, the humidity is
Southern
the
Canada,
worst.
yeah.
Because I mean, here in California, it does get very hot around
Yeah.
like August, September, but there's no humidity. It's very dry, which makes it tolerable.
Well,
Because if you live in an area with high humidity, it's brutal.
I went, so I was California. I was 16 years old for half a year there, and the joke was you could fry an egg on the top of a car or something like
Oh
that.
yeah,
And I'm pretty sure you could. It got
sure.
we saw the temperature go up to 100 and like 10 or 115 degrees in Los
There
Angeles.
are there are videos of people getting like a baking tray and putting like cakes and stuff or buns or whatever, like
Yeah.
uncooked, and
Oof.
putting it on the dash in your car. And they literally will cook. You could literally bake
Yeah,
bread in your car. You just put it in the parking lot, put the baking tray on the
right,
dashboard,
right.
and then go shopping, do whatever, come back in
Yeah.
an hour and a half, and the car smells the smell of freshly
You got
cooked
something
bread.
good going.
It's
All right.
it's
All right.
crazy. Yeah.
I wonder if we could try that here in Japan. So, I can illustrate the heat differences between Sweden and Japan this way. So, we used to drive when we lived in the States. We used to drive Volvos, Swedish
Okay.
car, of course.
Uh-huh.
And one thing always happened to our Volvos: the dashboard cracked
Correct.
because it
Right.
got too hot, and the Swedish plastic wasn't used to going. And this is Colorado, not even as hot as California. Was
Yeah.
not used to going as hot as Colorado would, and so you'd always have these fuzzy dashboard protectors that you
Yeah.
put on top because
Right.
the Volvo would crack. And Japanese cars, they were perfectly fine because their plastic's ready for
Mhm.
for basically hell. Not as hellish as California, but much more humid.
Yeah. You see those. You can still buy those for your car. Those like little furry things you put over the dash. They're
Yeah.
not as popular as they once were. I remember in the 90s they were everywhere, but not so much now. But you can still buy them if for nostalgia or whatever.
No,
But
back then the
you don't
Volvo.
see too many
Yeah.
cracked dashboards anymore.
Well, I got an explanation for this. The Volvos that are on the road now are like
Uh-huh.
high-end cars, and they used to be kind of like family cars.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buy one if you're like a regular family man. That's my
Oh,
explanation.
okay.
Am I wrong?
I don't know.
I drive a Suzuki, man. It
I
was
don't
like
know.
2 months of income, and I bought my car.
Wow. I drive a Prius, a Toyota Prius.
Prius, man, high-end car.
That's
High-end.
not high end, dude. Prius? Are you kidding me, dude? But yeah, I mean, it's great. It's reliable. The gas mileage is phenomenal. So I mean, it works great.
Bet you my Suzuki gets almost as good. It's a 3-cylinder though.
Probably.
Hey,
I mean,
by the way, welcome back, man. Third time, is it?
is it really? Yeah, it is. Yeah, third time's a charm, man.
Third time?
It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun. I enjoy talking. Yeah, it's
Well,
good.
thank you very much. I mean, 2 years ago, you're like, "Dude, I wanna know if this
Yeah.
recorder sounds good," and I'm like, "I'll
Uh-huh.
get to it." And 2 weeks ago, after having you on first or second time, I was like, "Better
You
do
did
that 2
the
year later."
full in-depth review
Full in-depth
of the
review that,
the
thankfully you and,
Tascam.
like, 3 other people watched, so it was worth it.
It was probably more than that.
It might
Yeah.
have been.
So what's happening in MD world? Anything going on?
MD World. In MD World, phew, let me show you something here.
Mhm.
I think did I title the let me just see, what I title the stream?
You
What did I
called it
title it?
the money pit.
The Money Pit.
More
All
money
right,
pits.
all right, check this
Yeah.
out. Let me show you guys. Now remember, I know some of you guys are mindset people, some of you guys are MD people, some of you guys are just regular techies. But keeping alive the dream of Minidisc in 2000.
Mhm.
And what I mean by keeping it alive is going forward, is taking the 1990s vision
Yeah.
of how you want to treat portable audio into 2020.
Uh-huh.
And what that means is your home system has to be MD. Your car system has to be MD. Your portable system has to be MD. But if you're also an audiophile, it can't be any old MD. It has to be the right one. It has to be the one that's going to have low hiss. It's going to have good battery life. It's not going to skip too much. And it's going to have a good EQ. It's not going to sound muddy.
Right.
Which means, and there's not a lot of reviews. I got to work on that. There's not a lot of reviews out there. So there's a couple of people out there that are buying up all the MDs, and they're kind of giving you the feedback. I should be one. Should be doing more. I'll get back to that a little bit later. But check this out. Check out. Wait, here.
What you got? Let's see.
See those speakers down there?
Oh,
not the bottom ones. Those are Fauxtaku powered speakers, but the ones on top of them, those are ELAC, ELAC from Germany. They came packaged together with a Sharp Auvi unit, the first deck. I think it's the first deck they ever released. Check this out. Mother trucker. So this bad boy here is a combo CD MD unit. It's called the SD SG11. I got it back in 2001 for $149.
Wow.
It was going for $1,300 up until that moment, and you could get packaged with various speakers up to, I think the top end one was like $3,000. I sold it in 2007
and
rebought it
again.
Rebought it a couple of weeks ago. This with those ELAC speakers. Oh man, I got better speakers. Yeah, it sounds good. But it's many multiples of what I spent originally. And this is used, and it's got a bit of a... Someone might have smoked a cigarette near it.
Smoky smell.
For a little while, yeah. So
smoky smell.
In the MD world, what I want to say is things haven't changed, and they never will change because nothing new is coming out. However, as the mood strikes some of us, myself included, you end up getting inspired by what you loved in the past, and then you pick it up again, and it's like, I should have hung on to that because that thing's now worth 5 times what it used to be.
Yeah, and it's not like you want to get rid of it. You want it to use it. It's not like you're like, oh, I should have hung on to it so now I could sell it for all this money. You want it because you want to use the thing. You want to, you want to play it and record and do all that cool stuff with it. So I have I could show it to you actually because it's not hooked up yet.
Mine isn't either.
But give me a second. I'll show it to you.
Yeah, do it up. Well, he's given a second. Yeah. So I didn't originally sell that thing because I wanted to make money. Funny enough, though, when I bought it in 2001, because it came out in 1998 or 1999 at an extraordinary price, and then I got it. All right, come on.
I should put my headphones on first.
He should put. Now he's interrupting my story. Do it.
All right. So now it's kind of heavy, but so I get this thing here.
I gotta big this thing up.
It's pretty.
What is this? I can't see the model.
I can't even see it myself. This is the Sony MDS JB940.
Wow, that's a good one, guys.
Yeah,
that's the one that my low end one thinks it is when I plug it into NetMD.
Yeah,
so you do NetMD with that, of course.
No. There's no NetMD on this.
Then why does mine think? Maybe mine thinks it's a JB980 or something like that. Okay.
So this thing is it's pretty awesome. It's got the keyboard. You can plug in a keyboard and stuff in the front there.
That's nice.
You can see that.
What's funny about these decks is in the middle of it.
I'm gonna put it back. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, put it back down. That's a huge deck, like half a meter long, and inside what you put is this tiny little disc. I don't know how it's like MD was like so overpowered for size versus the medium, at least for the decks. They're always so massive. But and then the small one.
That deck though, I hook it up to a Blu-ray player with optical out.
Okay.
And you make the recordings are amazing. Beautiful.
You can't, of course, Blu-ray audio you can't do into MD though, can you?
No, because the resolution's too high. You'd have to step it down. I tried that when I first hooked it up to the Blu-ray and the optical. I was like, oh my god, I'll be able to make incredible. But nah, it doesn't work, unfortunately.
You can with as long as your MD thing's got a good sample rate converter, you can do it. I've done it 24-bit audio. I've also done dithered 16-bit from my
Mm-hmm.
DAC. But yeah.
What I noticed also is because I have a fairly large Blu-ray collection, and some of the Blu-rays it'll come with an isolated score, so you can record the score
Right.
of the movie without all the talking and everything. And I thought, well, this is a great way for me to get the soundtrack of a movie that for the soundtrack it hasn't been released or something. So I thought, well, I'll record it onto MD, and through optical.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't work. It would sense the copyright.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't play through. But if I disconnected the optical and did it just through analog,
oh yeah,
then it worked perfectly. Yeah.
No problem. Huh. Oh, you know what? Pardon me. You know, so are you an optical snob, or do you ever do, or do you? Well, I mean, they're back. Okay, listen. When was it? I can't remember. When was it you got into MD? When was it?
Oh shit, late 90s, maybe 98, 99, something like that. Late 90s.
Now, were you one of the fools that were on the MD forums and the Sony Insider forums and the Head 5 forums about which is the best model that sounds and all that, and recording stuff like that?
Not too much. When the first MD unit I bought it just to have, like, I got tired of carrying like the CD Walkman, and I wanted something smaller and more compact that I could take with me or put it in the car.
So we chose an MZ1.
So yes, right. So I thought, oh, this will be cool, and I bought it, like, and started playing around with it, and it just became. I became very passionate about it. It became so much fun making your own discs and making your own compilations and recording, and it was just a ton of fun to do that. And I think in the previous show we talked about it. I did that for, I don't know, a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, and then I got an iPod in like 2001 or 2002 or some shit like that. And as soon as I got the iPod, the MD took a back seat.
Oh yeah, same with
and that was it until maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I came across my box of stuff, and it reignited my passion for the format. And then I stumbled onto your videos,
and now we are here.
And here we are.
Yeah. All right, so that's his intro to that's how he got into MD. But so after you got back in MD and even back in the day, again, my question is, are you now an optical snob? I know you use WebMD a lot.
I do use WebMD, but I use optical. Well, I guess I am. Yeah, I mean, I'll use if I can use optical, I will use optical. If I can't, then obviously I'll do something else to make the recording. But if an optical option is available, I will take it.
Do you remember that super expensive? Where I better find it. That super expensive DAP that I showed last time, $3,000.
Oh yeah.
That thing has an optical output, and it's got it inside. It packs vacuum tubes. So if you listen from your headphone output, it's actually a very mellow, very nice. It's a very good sounding. I don't think there's any MD unit that can stand out toe to toe for sound quality. However, you put it in your pocket, and that you may be sterile within a couple of hours.
Oh wow! Does it get crazy hot?
Not crazy hot, but you wouldn't want to walk around too much if you're a man and you're worried about having little boys or little girls in the future. But that thing does have optical. But one thing I found with some of these DAPs, if you ever want to use a source like these, they have really cool utilities like upsampling. You can change dithering rates. You can change EQs. You can change spatial sound. And you can, on the fly, by the way, that sound will come through optical. But some of the effects will not. But you can also, of course, if you got your DSD audio or whatever, you can, and some of these players are powerful enough to do EQs on DSD. But then if you use the analog, not only can you adjust the volume at the source level and add, let's say, 10 layers of effects, including spatial, again, EQ, your frequency sampling, all that stuff, you can get. Well, here's the question. Will it sound better than the source? I wouldn't say that necessarily, but you can tailor it to sound like you want it. Also, if you have something like, I don't have one here, but let's say this was a Sony MZ, I'm trying to think, the E3. I'm trying to think which, some, you know what? I gotta compile a list. But let's say it's one of the Sonys that had a baked-in bass boost. You could actually sort
the
of
mega bass.
yeah. No,
Okay,
well,
yeah.
the ones that even if you have the bass boost off, you still get 6 decibels of bass, extra bass.
Yeah.
You could defeat that essentially, or roughly speaking, you could defeat that with using the analog output from one of these DAPs. And so there's actually some benefits to going analog as well, because the MD will only properly read what you can do 24-bit in, and if it converts internally, sometimes there are some problems, but you could essentially use the DAP as an external ditherer via analog. And I don't know, man, there's some really, really good sounding analog recordings I've made in my day.
Yeah, with super high resolution stuff, I what I've done is, because I can't record it directly onto the deck, or a portable. I'll rip it to FLAC or AIFF,
Yeah.
and then use WebMD
IF.
to copy it over.
Do you, by the way, here's a question. Do you, you just said FLAC and then you said AIFF. So does it depend on the moment where you read your acronyms, or you just kind of spell them out? How do you decide?
I've always I've always said AIFF. I don't know. I mean,
You don't go IF.
IF
My
I
IF
files.
files.
My IF,
My IF files.
yeah, and I'm a GIF guy and a JPEG guy.
I listen to my IF files on my iPhone.
Yeah, not the JPEG, GIF. I'm a GIF file.
I think I'm a GIF as well. I'm not sure though.
GIF.
Which is, I know people get into like
GIF.
heated discussions about GIF and GIF.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I do want to ask you about, because I mean, you're living in Japan.
Yes.
That's like the Minidisc mecca, right? You can the range of models and is off the charts. I mean, here in the States, Minidisc is like, it never really took off over here.
Yeah.
I think it was just mainly in Europe and Japan. It was huge,
Right.
and in the US, it was just like barely a blip on the radar.
That's true.
So you probably stumble across where do you get your stuff from? Do you are there certain stores that you go to in the city or whatever and look for old stuff, or do you go to eBay, or what do you do?
Okay, so that's a good question. So I have gotten some stuff off of eBay, but everything I've gotten off of eBay are units that are only available abroad. Like, you remember last time we were talking, there's the units that have the AA batteries. Most of those ones that you could put AA's in were sold in Europe and America. And I like
so
those.
Was this ever in Japan?
I've never seen it here. Yeah.
The 700?
Yeah. Never seen it. Yeah, there's Sony has, I don't know. I think from
I
everything.
really like this recorder, actually.
Yeah, it's
there's something really nice about the way it feels, the way it works, with the little shuttle thing. It doesn't do NetMD, but it does MDLP. It's just I don't know. I just think it's a real nice little unit. I like this one a lot.
Well, there's also something kind of interesting. A lot of the units that were designed for the abroad, they didn't look as good. A lot of them were like, especially the sharp ones. I showed you that one. You're like, that's an ugly one. Well, a lot of them are they're not quite as good looking, but the layout of the buttons is better. And I think that Sony Japan got so focused on just miniaturizing everything. They got the electronics as small as possible. They got the amps as small as possible. They got the the batteries. They got the WIM, whatever that lip was. That's the Li, the lithium ion that's as thin as like 2 gums of sticks of gum. And the problem was that those units, you end up having to look at the buttons like this. Okay, play or pause. If you don't, you fast forward, or you're going to do.
Well, at least you can use one of these things, right? I mean, if you.
Yeah. Okay.
So then you don't have to fool with the buttons on the actual device. You can just use
except for sharp, because their hold button, you have to hold down the stop button for 2 seconds, then you get the hold switch on. But yeah. Basically, it's fine. I don't use remotes though. I don't get the remote thing.
Yeah, I don't use it that much anyway. Yeah, you're right. I mean, when I'm recording something, I use this primarily to make my mono recordings of podcasts and the like. it's easy just to grab this and hit stop just or when it finishes recording or whatever.
Right. Oh, you know what I didn't talk about last time? So speaking of recording and even playback, that Sony MZN920, which I swear by, as long as you put the EQ on it, sounds very good. It's got a track mark button on it that if you accidentally nudge, it'll add a track mark while you're playing back.
Oh,
So,
shit.
yeah, you just put it in your pocket, and if you're just like jogging around, putting the trash out 300 meters down the road or 400 meters down the road,
Yeah.
you come back and you've got like 51 tracks.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that the tab is switched.
Oh, I never switched my tabs.
If you switch
that's smart. That's
if
smart.
you
Yeah.
flip that,
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Fine.
then
Yeah.
you're good to go. You don't have to
It's
worry
true,
about that.
guys.
Uh-huh.
If you don't want to worry about complaining about something that basically is user error, you just flip the tab. Sony
Yeah,
didn't
flip the tab.
they didn't design the
There you
best
go.
thing with those track marks, but they did make it foolproof. You just switch that tab. You don't have to worry about that sort of thing.
Have you ever seen a leopard skin MD?
Never
Or
seen
a zebra or zebra zebra.
we
that
have
cool?
just 3 ways to call it. So anyway, in England you might call it zebra. In America you might call
Look
it
at that.
zebra, and then some other country they call it a leopard. So
On the back. It's good.
yeah,
Yeah, I got the
looks
back.
good on the back. Matte sort of
TDK. Big
mottled
club.
finish. TDK.
Yeah.
I love TDK. By the way, one of my first
Cool, huh?
photography clients was TDK.
Oh wow.
Way back in 2012 or 13 was kind of a
Okay, you better stop right there.
well, yeah. Anyway, wasn't
can you buy new equipment in Japan? New minidisc equipment?
There's one. I think it's it's not TDK. Is it Tascam? There's one company that still sells a unit that they brought out in like 2011, and I've seen it brand new. I don't know if I'm not sure if they're still making it, but there still are brand new units you can buy. And of course there's new old stocks that you can find.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you are looking for minidisc in pristine shape, you can find some in Japan for sure. But I found, and this is quite interesting, that if you look abroad, it seems like there's a lot more units that people maybe they originally purchased or were given, and then they didn't know what to do with, and they just left on a shelf. And they're pristine. A lot of the ones in Japan are users. So like you'll find ones that are good, but most of them will have dents, scratches, and other things. Like they've been used a lot. And the ones that haven't go for a lot of money. So yeah.
Yeah. Because I bought the was it the R37? I have it over there. But I bought that new old stock, brand new in the box, never been opened. So it's essentially a brand new unit. But I lucked out on that one. Most of the stuff that I've got has been used, in various degrees. This one right here, the 700. This is like new. I bought this. I think it was like $50 on eBay.
Not bad.
And they said untested or whatever. And I bought it. And when I took it out of the box, I was like, man, this thing looks, and it literally does. I don't know if you can see, but it looks like completely brand new.
But when a nice shiny logo still.
Yeah, and when I popped the battery thing right here, there was a AA in there that had been like fused to the, you know what I mean? It was just horrific. So I pulled it and I got it out, and then I got some vinegar and I cleaned all the inside, and then I put a battery in there, and
away it worked.
And it worked perfectly, yeah. And it works great. Works great. Just a little bit of work to clean out the battery compartment, and it was good as new.
You're not part of. I see this before. You're not part of the Facebook Minidisc group.
I joined
you
a few maybe 6 months ago, something like that. I've never posted on it though, but I just lurk and look through at some of the pictures that they post and stuff.
Well, I'm not part of it anymore either because I'm not using Facebook anymore. However, there's a gentleman by the name of Rock who lives here in Japan, and I met him a couple of times. We went up to a Headfi, the big website, or not Headfi, a headphone meeting here in Japan where they have like the biggest manufacturers all come to a single event and sort of show off their new stuff. He and I came with our minidisc units, and he had the most obscure units that I've ever seen, and he was just kind of wandering around testing earphones here and there, and he had all these distributors of like there was one company that had like a $10,000 earphone, and they had $10,000 headphones, and they were like, "Wow, what is that thing?" And he's like, "This is minidisc, man." And they're like, "I haven't seen that in like 20 years." He's like, and everyone that he gets, so I borrowed two of his. You probably see my video, the MZ RH1. Those are from him. They were like pristine, and I don't know where he gets them. He said that before, there's this website called Mercari, and Mercari, before they got big, you could get MD stuff cheap. He found an MZ RH1, I think, for like $20.
Wow.
Yeah, which is his. I guess that's
the prices. The prices can be a little crazy for minidisc. Unfortunately, you'd think that you'd be able to pick this stuff up for nothing, right? Because like nobody who's interested in minidisc, but apparently there's a lot of people that want this stuff, right? There's like a big market for used equipment
right now. But basically, when it was obvious Sony weren't making any more new stuff, I think there was about 2-year grace period where they were still going for regular prices, and then right after that, they just bottomed out. There would like everything was people were just put like just selling off everything, clearing them off, and then it's only been the last maybe 8 years or so where suddenly only the last 8 years, quite a long time.
It's going
but
up.
like they're not cheap anymore, and of course if people want to use them and they're not just collecting them, they want to keep care of them, but they also want to use them. The units that still work good and that don't just look pretty are they're vanishing, and so it's getting more and
more like I have two of these.
I'm just gonna close my door just a second.
Yeah, for sure. I'll wait till you come back. See what's going on in the chat. Oh, Pike on a Trike is there. Hey man, how you doing? He says, the new version of vinyl now. Everyone wants one. Yeah, it's true.
Actually, you know what? I think I gotta help my wife pull in some water. If you can, can you hold the fort for about a minute and a half?
Slightly. Yeah.
All right, I'll be right back. Hold the fort.
Okay, I got you, man. Don't worry, I got you. Let's take a look here. Now, I'm not in control, so I can't pull up or post anything. Well, actually, I might be able to. Through the wonder of, let me just take over the show. I'll just turn it into the Mindset Howl Part 2. No, I won't. Let's see what's going on. Pike on a Trike says, my little Sony Hi-Fi mini disc, but don't even own one mini disc. Oh, that's a shame, man. It's a great format, and like Nathan was saying, I've gotten back into it, and I have a pretty good collection, which seems to be growing. I'm still recording. Look at this from back in the day. Lloyd Cole and the Commotions, Rattlesnakes on Minidisc. Check that shit out. The sound quality is great. It's small. It's portable. You just throw it in your pocket. Away you go. Listen to, whatever you want, whenever you want to. One of the big advantages is, number one, it's physical media. And number two is when you on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming service you're using, everything that you're listening to is all that information is being harvested and added to your profile. When I go out and I listen to a mini disc, if I go on a walk or I'm in the car or whatever and I'm listening to this, I'm the only person that knows what I'm listening to. There's not another person on earth that knows what's going into my earphones.
But he just admitted to us exactly what he's listening to. We all know. There's 9 of us.
So there you go. You guys know too then. The cat's out of the bag. The secret is out. But
every once in a while, I see from the comments, there's people who are like, I've got a minidisc unit. Or I heard of those. And I don't know how many. Oh, Rock's here. You see MC Balan? That's Rock.
Oh,
he's
cool.
The guy. Yeah, the gentleman,
There he is.
the guy.
He says, "You rang, my lord."
Yeah. So Rock, everyone, MC Bellan up there. No
There he
idea what that
is.
stands for, but
Hey, man.
it could be his surname is I can't read that.
Well,
Babylon.
it's good to virtually meet you.
Yes, so he's the one that loaned me the MZRH1, like I said, 2 or 3 of them in that spy box that I did the video of some couple of years ago, and I still have your MZ37 here. I asked him back before I was leaving Facebook. I'm like, dude, you gotta because that was how we connected. I was like, when do I send this? How do I send this back to you? And of course, I haven't finished a review of it, guy. I had your thing for like 2 years, something like that. So I gotta get on it, and you gotta tell me how we can contact the game.
It's this one. Hang on.
The pleasure is yours. Well, dude, it's very nice to have you on. Why don't you throw up some? Rock. Of course, I'm chatting to someone who's chatting or typing. So I'm not sure if you've caught our
this thing, right?
Exactly, the silver one, just like that. I'm not sure if Rock has come here on this podcast before, but if he has, he'll know that. Well, if he hasn't, Gareth basically watched one of my videos a couple of years ago, and then he asked me to do something, and I finally did it 2 years later. And he's a MD user back from the 90s, as well as a recent
back in the 90s.
Yeah, from the 90s.
The 90s, yeah, back in the 90s, we used to do all kinds of things.
Maybe his real accent, I have no idea.
I love this recorder, except I hate the fucking screen.
It's too short. You can't see a lot of stuff.
Where's that right here? This
right
screen, it's horrible.
Okay,
but other than that, it's great.
Okay, I'm of two minds. I think it's the best looking recorder or portable unit of all time because it looks again we said this last time. It looks like a 1970s vision of 2000 or 1990.
Yeah, you're right. I think I agree completely. It is like someone in the 70s decided to let's try and design something futuristic for the future. Yeah,
exactly. It's so good. It's even got those it's got the window and it's got the stripes. Not the stripes, but it's got the what are those?
But it's not. That's not even a window though. It's just some clear plastic. It looks like a window. And when you put a disc in, you kind of hope to see it spinning.
Yeah, nothing.
But you don't. There's no real window there. But it's
and it's a tough.
It still looks really cool. It looks great.
That was the budget unit. That was the it came out a year after the MZR55. It has essentially It has
those shitty buttons on the back too, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't say shitty about that thing in any shape, way, or form. That thing is the old. Yes, there's some layout problems. Yes, the screen is too small. No, it's G-Shock or skip-proof thing isn't as good as some of the other ones. Yes, it's big. It is built solidly. It's got the line out. It has
line out. Yes.
Low noise output for your headphones, so you're not going to get a lot of hiss. It drives headphones very well. When I got it, the big talk on not HeadFi, because I don't think HeadFi existed back. I got it in 1999, tail end 1999, which it came out that year. It was supposed to be the cheap version of the R55. What at that time, it was all conjecture. It's like, what's under the hood? Is it really just an R55 under the hood? If it is, it's good because it's like $100 cheaper. Well, it turns out I have tested them. I have not published the results. Sorry, Rock. But it actually beats the R55 in terms of overall driving capability, noise levels, and other stuff. So it's actually not the same thing under the hood. It's actually, as far as I can tell, a better audio player than the R55, and of course you can put in real batteries and get like 13 hours of battery life, whereas R55 will get a 5.
It takes two. If you pop this right here,
yes, and that is a nice battery flap as well. It's not like,
actually. I don't have any. I don't have any batteries in it right now, but it takes two AA's in there.
Yep.
And if I'm not using something regularly, I'm trying to get into the habit of removing the batteries. Right. Because if you just put this in storage somewhere and 5 years went to get it, then you might as well just toss the thing out. The batteries would have destroyed it. So it's always good to pull the batteries if you're going to just,
Speaking of toss out, was it last week? Was it Luke White or was it someone else who made up the drinking game? Who was it that did that?
I can't remember. It's somebody in the chat mentioned it. I said every time you said you're a right winger.
Well, that gave me some problems. Like a day and a half later, I was not. It was a great chat with you, Gareth, but I wasn't feeling good afterwards, and I was trying to hide it from my wife because she's like, "You were chatting for 4 hours, honey."
Because you were drinking.
Yeah, so I had to hide the fact that I lost the drinking game against myself. I can't remember who it was exactly, but if it was you, Luke White, nah, it might not be. It might be someone else. Oh wait,
I'm not sure.
We got an update here from McBell, and he's like, I think the R37 was the budget R50.
R50.
Not R55 is probably what he means to say.
Ah.
Well, back then there was a lot of conjecture about what it was. The thing is, the R5. Okay, it is Luke White. All right. I'm not. Whenever you come up with a drinking game, I ain't participating unless it's coffee. Now, coffee would be a bad idea too. There's other things involved with coffee, but so the R37. So here's the thing: the 50, the R50, of course. Also another beautiful unit. And I can see where you might think that this is kind of the higher end version of the R70 or R37. It's got a very similar battery flap. In fact, if you were to just sort of rearrange the buttons here and there, this could very easily morph into an R37. The thing is,
what kind of battery does that take? It takes like a.
I think it's a LiP8.
Oh yeah, I hate those things.
However, they've held up very well. This one is an original, and I still can get around 8 hours of battery life from it.
Really? Wow, that's impressive.
Oh yeah, very, very good. And these, which one is actually more solid? I got it. Which one's more solid? I like the R37 because the headphone output comes from the side, so you can put it in your pocket and just have the headphone go up.
Right.
Whereas this one, by the way, got some. What? Caramel. I'm not sure why I got caramel in. This one, the headphone, if you put the remote here, the headphone then loops around this way. Or if you put a headphone, like the remote loops this way, so then you'd have to stuff it down and have the remote go up this way. But if you have a headphone,
look, it's the exact same. Look at this. Yeah. Exact. Look, see?
Yeah. Yeah, but that's on the side, so you can
put. It covers it up completely, though. Like if you wanted to make a recording or do the audio out.
Right.
I mean, you can do it. You just kind of twist the cable, but it's kind of a hassle. It'd be better if it was just, I don't know, the other way around or something.
Well, I mean, sure. There's a definite advantage for how this is laid out if you're doing recordings. But if you're enjoying that thing in your pocket on the way to the garbage, walking carefully because the R37's jog-proof technology isn't the best. Your headphone on this one, if you want to put a straight angle headphone here, like this, you're gonna break your headphone if you put that in your pocket. So then you got to put it this way, but then you got to have massive pockets.
Right.
So you got to use the remote, and then you have to, and then what nice headphone are you gonna use with the remote? Because you got a meter long headphone cable plus a remote, which is like 0.8 meters.
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
All right. I'll finish my thought. I was getting going here.
Okay, go ahead.
Sony MZ. Oh wait, no, not MZ. MDR EX1000 is an earphone. Here it is. This bad boy here, which I have currently wired up for AUV 4-pole balanced output. This one here, amazing earphone. This came with a cable that was basically short enough to use with the remote control, despite the fact this thing came out long after MD was gone. It was 2012 or so. You can use it stock with the stock cable with a remote, and it won't be suddenly longer than you need. But most other earphones, high-end earphones, had a full-length cable, and so if you wanted something shorter, you'd have to get a custom cable. Go ahead.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say now. It just went out of my head. But it'll come back. I'm sure it will, dear boy. It'll return. Yeah, I think it was Luke White who came up with the drinking game.
It was.
He fessed up. He fessed up in the chat that it was him.
Yep.
That you know, when I'm speaking, does it sound echoey to you?
On my end or your end?
When I'm talking, does it sound a little bit like because I hear a lot of echo in the room.
Well, it's a little bit different. The acoustic's a little bit different than before.
Yeah.
I mean, your old room seemed to have basically focused on just the sound right around the mic.
Yeah.
Now your room there might be as bad as
picking
my
up
room.
a little bit, so I need to do something.
I got a wall right here.
The
and so
more
I'm
stuff,
talking
the more stuff I put in this room, the
Oh,
the echo will start to go away and diminish. So over time,
Over
it'll
time.
it'll resolve itself.
Well, excellent. Yeah, I'm thinking of putting maybe something like soft here on the side that'll absorb some sound. Although eventually this is going to be my daughter's room, so I'm going to go out to the living room somehow and make a little niche there.
Little cubby.
Little cubby, yeah. Little cubby, or not family room. Yeah, I got a family room that's basically storing some speakers and stuff right now. But I got to say something to Luke here. Luke, you know, it was
I'm your father.
I wouldn't know how to handle Luke if he was my son. I don't think I could handle this guy. It was a good idea last week, and because I kept repeating the same phrase over and over in response to Gareth, you basically got me to rethink how not to answer questions, because by the end of it, I had drained, and I'm not a big guy. I'm not a heavy hitter. I had drained about a third of a bottle of what is it called? Bourbon.
Oh man, you're good and loaded. You must have been messed up.
It was tough. Anyway, Luke, I learned something on that show. So thank you very much for making me realize that's too.
But you had a good time there. It was fun.
I had a good time, but the end of it, I didn't know where I was anymore. But yeah, I had a good time.
Oh. Yeah, MD what?
It is. Well, were we even talking? How am I going to be saying I'm a right winger? If we're talking about
we were talking all kinds of stuff
all
like
over the place.
Yeah, all politics, anarchy. You're talking about the kings and the queens and the right to rule and all that stuff. And
this is well, it's kind of like the question you had brought up. No, you had given me a comment. You're like, Nathan, if you were just focusing on MD on this channel, you'd probably have a pretty popular channel. And I was like, you're the second person to tell me that. Another one is basically my Nikon Sensei. Like Nikon is a camera brand, or Nikon, or however you say it. He introduced me to digital cameras some years ago, and he's like, dude, you should just focus on MD. And I'm like, I would like to, but at the same time, I want to keep something a little bit open. So I've started a new channel. By the way, it's just going to be MD. Just going to be MD.
That's awesome.
Open in the next week or so, and it's called. I haven't finalized the name, but it's either MD Marche or Marche MD. Like it's either going to be a play on the word for market MD or March MD.
No, I'm really happy. I think that's awesome, dude. I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. Very, very cool. And if it's just like a pure Minidisc channel, nothing else.
Pure MD.
Are you gonna take your Minidisc videos from this channel and put them on there?
Yeah.
Or are you just gonna start fresh?
Okay, so I'm kind of wanting to do a different aesthetic. So the ones that I put on this channel had a lot of information, but there was they weren't very organized. It wasn't like watching. Have you ever seen Gerald Undone? He's a camera reviewer.
No.
No, it doesn't matter. I would never be able to do something like Gerald Undone anyway. He can, every word he says is not only applicable to the review, but there's like nothing extra. Even his full stops are just barely there. And it's not because he's going too fast. It's just everything is important information. I could never do that. But the new channel, I want to focus on a little bit more on the aesthetic reason I like MD. And then in the background, have my thoughts about it and sort of specs floating into the aesthetic display of each unit. So it's going to be short videos that are reviews as well as sort of what to look out for and what to not look out for if you're buying. So
no, I look forward to watching it. It sounds great. I'm actually excited to watch that.
well,
It
I was
it
hoping it
sounds
was
very
going to be
cool.
ready last week, but I ended up changing the logo a couple of times. And then I was like, is it going to be a play on market or is it going to be play on March? And I'm thinking I want to go March because if it's market, I don't want to. It's not like I'm selling anything, but if
Yeah.
it's March, the idea is kind of mini disc on parade, sort of, you know.
Oh, I see. Play out like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Play
And
on
it's going to
words.
be a lot of different. So I'm going to be comparing units. I'm going to be
Hmm.
talking about earphones best for it, headphones best for it, which units say they got 5 milliwatts, but really have
Hmm.
fewer or more. Yeah, stuff like just, it'll be MD.
A good topic to cover also it would be something like um, how to use MD
Mm.
in 2021,
Yeah. No, yeah, you've
right?
brought that up, and I agree. That's a good point.
Because when as much as you and I love these things,
Right,
they're completely obsolete, right?
right.
This is total complete obsolete technology, right?
Yeah.
It really is. It's
Yeah, it's
obsolete
true, it's true,
technology.
it's true.
And for somebody coming into it, and there will be people stumbling across MD and experimenting and getting into it. Um, After a while, they're going to think, "What the hell am I doing? Why am I pissing away all my money on this useless format?"
I'm gonna try to do a little bit
Do
of
you
it
know what I mean?
as well. Yeah. I mean, there obviously how-tos, sort of workflows, but I am going to I got some dude up here was like, "Oh, Matty Divine. Hey, Matty Divine,
Hmm.
good to see you." He's like, "How about a channel named MD Aesthetic?" Well, if you'd like to, you may do. I think I wanna the reason I'm going with Marcia MD is I want to have an M and an M. I like the
MM.
M. Yeah, and the logo that I have for it, I've thought hard about, and I I want to keep it that way. It may not be the best of any sort of design or any sort of thought pattern, but I do like at least directionally where the idea of the MD on parade will take me. So
Will the logo incorporate a mini disc?
there's the final thing I'm doing. So the banner will
Okay.
absolutely. The logo
Mhm.
itself it'll play to nostalgia as well as to a social warning that we all are familiar with. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to taking a look. I will absolutely subscribe the minute you fire it up and get the wheels turning.
Oh, I can't wait to do it. Like it's short videos, none of the 30-minute ones.
Hmm.
I'm gonna try to just good information, let it slide, focus on aesthetics as well as just punchy, pithy stuff. Yeah.
Have you? I mean, as a mini disc user and a mini disc fan,
Yeah.
have you often fantasized about what if Sony said, "You know what? We're bringing back mini disc."
Mm.
And if they were going to make a current player using today's current technology, but a current player that would still be backward compatible, so you could still play all your old discs on it.
So like revamp the
What?
IMD.
Just revamp it. Um, current technology, but 100% backwards compatibility. What would your views or specs be if this crazy fantasy was to happen?
Okay, so I got actually quite a few things to think about there, and that's a very good question. Um, owning so many different Sony MD units now, I'm pretty sure that Rock probably owns 2 or 3 times the number that I do of any sort, and he probably has multiples of each. Like the reason that you can't find clean ones on any market anymore is because of Rock. He has
He
them all.
has them all. He has
Yeah,
them all. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, he has them all. But one thing I like the idea of Sony bringing stuff out again. The thing is that if you go and you compare something like an MZ920 to something like an MZR50, the sound listen, they both sound great, and testably the MZ920 tests better, but there's kind of a flatness to its sound. Now that's a later one. You're saying newest technology, etc. So I have reviewed Sony's non-MD high-end DAPs up to their, I can't remember the name of it, MZNW1 or something. It's $3,000 gold. It looks gold. It weighs like half a kilogram, something like that. So I've reviewed those, and it's funny. All these years on, for some bloody reason, there's still a certain amount of hiss that you're going to hear through a Sony high-end DAP that even costs $3,000. So at the same time, they have very high build quality. Right now, their interfaces are getting better. Their touch screens are better. They're actually of the DAP market, and this is embarrassing because of the DAP market, I consider, at least operationally, to be much worse than the smartphone market. A lot of the smartphones, yes, you have to use a separate application, but even the iPhone app, it's smooth, easy to use. You get perfect gapless playback.
Right.
You're not going to get as strong an amplifier. You're not going to get as good 24-bit playback, etc. But none of these players have as good interface. Now, of course, we're talking about using it in Minidisc. But and the problem is, I think Sony would still botch it. Their latest MD units, their high MD units, have all those combination buttons, and then they put the buttons in the weird places where
but if they were starting a clean slate, clean slate, today's current technology, the only difference is instead of saving your music to a hard disk, an SSD, you're saving your music to one of these.
Okay, so basically, in the perfect worlds, if they brought it back out and Sony wasn't using Sony designers, yeah, I would love that. Are you serious? But I think that this would be an interesting market for, there's a lot of audio companies coming out of China right now making like that $3,000 DAP that I showed with vacuum tubes inside, and I think it would be really cool. Especially, I mean, even if you look at like the sort of music, there are certain bands like Time Cop. They released all of their albums basically on Minidisc as well. And they're doing synthwave, which is kind of a throwback to 1980s mixed with like late 1990s power pop beats mixed with like trance aesthetics, etc. I think there's a market for older technologies to merge together to bring back something like Minidisc. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure it would appeal to many people if it was just brand new MD unit using all the latest technology, and it's like okay. But if they tried to play to the power of nostalgia, I think it could be very powerful among the audio. A bunch of there might be a market for it that's bigger than some high-end DAPs out there.
I'm thinking the same thing and the main reason I say that is because the prices of old MDs on eBay and the like. I mean, if these weren't sought after items, you'd be able to get like high MD recorders for like $5.
For a while,
for like nothing, but not anymore. Some of what's the I forget the high MD recorder. It's going for almost $1,000.
High MD.
The last one, the last model.
MH200, I think. Yeah, the last version of the RH1.
Yes, and that's going for like almost $1,000 right now for something used.
Oh yeah.
So there's definitely a market there.
Oh yeah.
If there was no market, like I said, you'd be able to pick up that thing for a couple of bucks for nothing.
I think it would. I think it would be pretty damn cool, to be quite honest. Rock. Very interesting that Rock is bringing this up. I can't believe Rock, the MD guy, is bringing this. He's like, put an SD card up in it. Like, put an SD card on the corner. No, man, you can't do that.
No.
Rock, kick Rock.
The way I foresee it is like, latest technology. It looks really cool. Nice screen on it, all cool buttons, all that stuff. But the only way to save music would be to save it onto a mini disc, not an SD card, not an SSD. The only when you hit record, it goes onto the MD, and that's it. And it would be high MD, but also completely backwards compatible, so you can play all your discs. Or maybe a format above high MD.
I don't think they should release an. I understand
I
why.
don't know.
Like there would be the technology to probably put like much more into it. So, but I think if they brought out a new format, it would just be kind of. I don't know. I wouldn't take it very well. High MD, stop at high MD, build that one out so that we get those discs come back. They're not too expensive, and there's more circulation of them. And a new format.
I hear you.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Because I mean, the people who are into minidisc, the thousands of people throughout the world that still, not just collect the units, but actually use them every day, to record and to play music and whatever. If a new unit came out like we're describing, they would buy it. I know I would. I'd buy it. I'd buy it in a heartbeat. But for somebody who just wants portable music,
it
they're not going to buy. They're happy with their phone. They don't give a shit about physical formats. They're happy to stream Spotify on their phone.
I'm trying to think, like, if they did bring it out, would you accept that new unit with all its whiz bang new technology? Would you accept it to be a little bit bigger than, say, like this is the AMF 80, which was right as the MD recorder started to get small. Iowa brought this out, and of course Sony brought out the R55. Would you accept it to be a little bit bigger than what was considered small in 1998?
Well,
or like, for instance, here's the R50, which was roughly the right size in 97, I think.
So if I was going to do this, if I was in charge of Sony and I was going to bring this thing out, I would actually be bringing out 3 units. So I'd be bringing out a player, and that would be barely the size of a disc.
Okay.
Right. And all it would do was play. It would play high MD, play regular MDs, and that was it. So I had
like
the
E10.
Yeah. So all it would be a player, and it would have a built-in rechargeable battery that would last 18 hours or whatever. And it would be crazy thin. It would be just a tiny little bit bigger than this. Just a few millimeters bigger than this. You could slide the disc in, close it, and it's that size, right? So I'd have the player. The next thing is I'd have the recorder, which would also be portable, and this would be maybe around this size.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And this you'd have optical and all the inputs, so you could make your recordings on this, and you have your USB-C or Thunderbolt cable instead of so you could drag it right on that. So you have that. Then the third unit would be a deck that you could hook up to speakers or into your hi-fi, and that would be that. So you'd have 3 units: a player, a portable recorder, and a deck.
Yeah.
And I would buy all 3. But we're playing fantasy now. We're just wishful thinking.
Got a question for you down there from Maddie Divine.
Have you ever used the MZ E10 player? No, I haven't. Oh wait,
that was the first one with the joystick, I think. That was the 10th anniversary.
No, I have not been.
Ion.
No.
Those ones go for, I mean, if you can find one, I've never seen one that has a working battery, but those things are not cheap. People gobble those up in an instant. But also, by the way, Rock is still trying to evangelize his. He's like, no, it's not in the unit, Nathan. It's in the disc. You put the SD card in the disc, the micro SD card.
How would that work, though? I mean, then that would be.
Rock, you've been vetoed, Rock. You've been vetoed.
No, it'd just be the disc. The disc would be the recordable part of the unit.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they brought it out, this would have to be update the USB for USB-C.
Yep,
that's fine.
100%. Yeah.
It would be cool, to be able to supply power via the USB as well, rather than having to use.
So it would charge the internal battery. and you'd aim for 18 to 20 hours of battery life on a full charge.
So update that sort of thing, but the mini disc itself, that has to be left
as is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, as is.
Yeah.
High MD spec, backwards compatible. So you can play, because there's a lot of people out there that have, vast libraries of MDs that they've been collecting for 25, 30 years. And you with the new unit, you want to be able to access all that music. You want to be able to play all that stuff. So it would have to be 100% backwards compatible. It would have to look cool. It would have to have a nice screen on it. I think what they should do also is kind of move away from these things.
Yeah.
Don't use these anymore.
Yeah.
And have built-in Bluetooth built into the unit, so you could use Bluetooth headphones or Bluetooth earbuds with the new MD player.
So we were talking about keeping as pure as possible. Now we're adding Bluetooth.
You'd still have your standard headphone jack.
Yeah.
Right? You still have that, but you'd have Bluetooth. So if you get, some earbuds or whatever, you're good to go.
I think there's actually kind of a dovetail between what you're saying and what Rock is saying at the moment here. So Rock is like, yeah, but this is Sony we're talking about, so they need sales volumes. True, but there's no way that this would be a mass market thing. So Sony also brought out several very niche, very expensive. Now I hope they wouldn't bring out a $3,000 MD portable player. I hope that wouldn't be it. But they've brought out some very niche stuff over the years, especially recently. They brought out, in fact, a custom earphone company called Just Ears, and they were very expensive hybrid earphones. So they have a dynamic driver like in here, plus one or two different small hearing aid style drivers, and Sony did that, and it was not a mass market thing. It's not like there's going to be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people buying that. They're probably, I've seen people talk about it, and owners, I've seen probably 1,000. And they brought that out. They brought out a new sub business just to do that. And I think that they could do that. Sony, I went to their back when I was at Headphonia, I went to their headquarters in Tokyo, and I interviewed the designers of the original Walkman, and then the 2 or 3 new DACs and players that they had, one including that really expensive portable. And they are, I mean, they're not regular engineers. These guys are, and regular engineers are in a world all their own, but they're engineers that are really, really geekily into their stuff. And the entire wall, half the wall was MD players and recorders. The other half was old tape cassette Walkmans.
Right.
There was a DAT recorder there, and of course all their new solid state stuff. But I was there for, I think, 2 hours just talking about this stuff. And of course it was going back and forth between Japanese and English. And but yeah, the Sony have the ability to bring out something very niche, and I think they would do it. And of course, looking at not my channel, but when you look at like a Techmoan or whatever, his MD stuff, I think he's got over 1 million views,
Huge. Yeah.
Definitely a market for it. And even there's some regular normies that would probably be
intrigued by it. They'd be like, "Oh, look at this! What is this? Oh my gosh!" They'd be like, "Well," they'd be fascinated by it, and they might buy it on a whim, as long as it's not crazy expensive, and start playing around with it. And the next thing you know, they're hooked.
Yeah, I would be all up for it. I mean, I wonder what if they did bring that out. I wonder what would happen to the regular MD market. Do you think that those used players would start to get more expensive as there's kind of a new sort of marketing push?
No, I think they decrease in value significantly, because why would you buy a used machine when you can just go buy a brand new one, which is a great machine? Is ideally better than every unit that came before it.
But I mean, that's kind of like how every unit was even back then. So the new the AM F80 is better than AM F70. However, AM F70 had backlit buttons, play, pause, all that. I mean, and so I think every time they miniaturized something and brought it out and made it more modern, they also kind of lost something or took something away. in my case, I think Sony took away easy to use buttons. I know that Matthew Devine prefers the joysticks. Matthew Devine, I don't know what your thumbs look like. I'd like to see them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean the buttons. I mean, you don't need any crazy. I mean, just regular buttons. I mean, what's this one I got here? Look at this. It's even got a jog shuttle thing on it, right?
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, I mean, it's you just we got your thumb, bump, 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 and you're done. Easy.
Yeah.
Make something easy. You know, there's a million things you can do to get a really smooth, easy. Now I know that the little tiny little like they have on the back of this, these little tiny things.
Yeah.
They're horrible.
He just said that again about the R37. I can't go there with the R37. Yes, they're hard to press, but
Yeah.
that's the best recorder ever made.
And
It
the
looks
front,
cool. It looks cool.
look at the front. Now the front looks amazing, right? It looks phenomenal, but it's not very functional. It's a kind of a pain in the ass to use.
Although the record slider on that is very good.
I agree. Yeah, you just boop and you're good to go with recording. But the buttons, they're a pain in the ass. The ones on the back are a pain in the ass. But it looks gorgeous. It looks absolutely beautiful.
If only I had not sold my purple one back in 2000. Yeah, I can't believe it sold in like 2002 or 3. That one, the purple, you think that one looks good? The purple one.
Yeah.
Online, there's no good pictures of it. In real life, it's got the metallic sheen, of course, and it's purple, but
it's real nice.
I'm an idiot. I am an idiot.
Yeah, you're an idiot. Oh yeah, man. The purple. There's
regarding
this one too. This comes in multiple different colors. There's like a green yellowish one. Black one. There's tons of different colors for this. I think the blue one is the most common though.
Yeah.
But there's all kinds of different. There's a silver one of these you can get also. All different colors. So another question in regard to MD, and we did touch on it on the last show.
Bring it up.
You know, and I don't know about you. I have a fairly good collection of discs, which appears to still be growing. And I'm sure you're in the same boat. I'm assuming you have hundreds of discs, if not more. As this is a completely obsolete format, and there's only a finite number of machines out there, there's going to be a day where you're not going to be able to get a replacement, and the machines you have are going to fall apart. And while the discs might conceivably last forever,
it's possible, yeah.
The machines won't. So what do we do? I mean, is it worth investing all this time and money and effort into something that ultimately is just going to fade away and die?
Is humanity?
The humanity.
It's humanity which will not last forever. Is it worth it? Yeah.
Is it worth it?
You know, I've gone through various stages of sort of existential crisis regarding Minidisc. The first one was the first one I was 20 when I bought my first one, right? And I was just getting my first like job that was paying enough to buy stuff. And right then, for me, the existential problem was, as much as I loved my unit, there was always a new unit. Back then in 2000, there was always a new unit, and they were and everyone was talking about them, and I got sucked into wanting to get more of them. And then later on, when it was obviously it was end of life for MD, then I was like, unfortunately, I didn't sell my stuff when it was like they weren't worth anything. But I was also moving countries, and I couldn't carry the stuff. So I eventually did get rid of basically all my MD stuff. But I got rid of it at a time where I didn't lose much money. But the thing was, once I got rid of all of them, because I had to have life out of a suitcase, I didn't immediately miss it, because I think I had like an iPod, and back then iPod sucks and MD is great and whatever. And I still have a lot to say about that, because I think there's a lot of mistaken narratives about the sound quality of MD. I do like it, but
I got one right here.
Yeah, and some of those sound very, very good. That's the classic 6G. But then when it came back to around once, what was it? 2014. I had some units before that, but 2014 is when I really started to get back into it. And that was when Headphonia was like, dude, or I suggested them, what do you think about me writing about the first commercially viable balanced output player? And they're like, whoa, what when was this? What was it? We don't know about it. And I was like, well, it was an MD. And they're like, what? And then once I started writing about it, I was just like, I just fell in love with it all over again. But there's a long way to answer your question. It's basically looking at a piece of technology that there's so many firsts. It's the first one that had good enough skip memory to walk with. It's the first that was small enough to put in your pocket that was also fully digital. It's the first first of the legacy series that you could connect to USB, on and on and on and on. And it kept evolving, not only with my taste, but of course with the technology. At the same time, there's end of lives for these. And a lot of these units that I think about a quarter of my units don't work, or I use them as backups in case something breaks.
This one, I have two of these ones.
Yeah.
This one here is in perfect physical condition, but it doesn't work anymore. It's not working on me. Whereas I have another one which doesn't look as great, but it works fine.
You could replace the case on them. I've done that.
That's a big hassle, man. I don't want to be tiny little screwdrivers, and I don't want to deal with that. But yeah, it's I remember back in the day, and I would use this continuously. All day. I'd be playing shit all day on this thing.
I've never seen that one in Japan.
This is like the sport.
There's a joystick.
The thing right there where you put the battery, and then it's got like a little waterproof little thing right there to open the case.
Battery and other parts, like little rubber, rubber gaskets or something like that.
There are right here. So on the bottom, you pop. I don't know if you can see that. You can pop the thing right there, and there you have your headphone and your USB, because this is a NetMD player also. And then right here you have another little gasket you pop open, and that's for the power, where you can plug the power into it.
I like that. I like that a lot.
So it's got
I've looked all over for that one and never seen one here in Japan. Rock probably has 7 of them.
Yeah, the sport. But the way it's built, like if you were out walking or jogging or whatever, you just hold it like this, right? Because it's got that rounded. You just hold it in your hand, and because it's got the jog on it, you can change the track and do all this stuff with the little shuttle thing on the top as you're holding it, right? So you're just walking along, change next track, stop, play, whatever, just right there. So it's I think it's a cool unit, and it's got some heft to it too. It's very, very, very sturdy, very strong.
Plastic on that's pretty thick too, isn't it?
It's I don't know how big it is. Pretty thick.
So what I understand is the reason why they designed that one, especially with polycarbonate, of course, if you drop it, it'll bounce rather than.
It's a very, very sturdy unit. Very, very sturdy.
Oh, Rock doesn't have one of those. He has. No, he doesn't have one. Yeah, I don't have one.
Maddie Devine says, "Do you have any MD home decks?" Mindset Central. Yes, I do. I just showed it to you at the beginning.
You missed it. You missed it, Maddie. Got to be there from the very, very start.
Yeah, it's a big. It's pretty heavy.
940 JB 940.
JB 940. Yeah, it's a really nice deck. I love it a lot. And when it breaks, I'm not going to say if it breaks. I'm going to say when it breaks, which will hopefully be years and years and years and years and years from now. I will be heartbroken.
Phil, never seen you here before. Maybe you've been here. Thanks for coming. He says the S2 line was US only. I think it includes a cassette, CD, and MD Minidisc players. There is a S2 CD player that plays 8-track tracks as well. Yeah, that could be why I've never seen it here. I remember when it came out, I was like, "Oh, that thing is hot, man, hot."
What's really cool is the screen also. When it lights up, this one doesn't work, unfortunately. It lights up orange.
Nice.
It's an orange screen when it
Actually,
lights
the
up.
same color.
Mhm.
The MZ1 lights up orange as well.
Oh,
Don't have
cool.
a battery in it. Of course, the battery.
Jeez, look at that.
Put three. Like this is kind of
It's
getting a little gross.
huge.
Yeah, like put 3 fingers in it, and the battery itself weighs as much as a lot of MD recorders.
Wow. That was the first.
That was the first.
The first, yeah. What was that?
And
90, 92, 91, 92,
90,
something like that.
93, I think, is when it actually came out. Could be
Mhm.
wrong about that. It's got optical out and input, dude. Man.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's got a really powerful headphone amp.
Mhm.
It's as powerful as a lot of DAPs out now. Like one of the spec. If you go to minidisc.org, sorry, you see a lot of
Yeah.
talk about different the amp specs, etc. And you get the Panasonics, which go down to
Mhm.
2.5 milliwatts per channel. Then they basically, most of them were 3.5. Then some of the Sonys, a lot of the Sonys basically topped out at 5, and then there's some Sharps that were 6, no, 8 and 10. The funny thing is those ones that say 10 milliwatts per channel, maybe the amplifier actually has that, but the signal, maybe they're amplifying a weak signal or something, because I'm not getting a lot of volume out of them. This bad boy here, holy, lots of hiss from the, where is it? Lots of hiss. If you're using sensitive earphones, it's not good, but powerful, man. Really powerful. Yeah.
Does that unit still work? You have right there?
I have a working unit and a non-working
Okay.
unit. And, I'd have to put the battery in to tell which one is which, right? I should label it. Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you remember a website in the early 2000s called Minidisco?
Yeah, Minidisc. I used to buy stuff from there actually. Yeah, there was
Yeah, Minidisco. It was all Minidisc. They would sell blanks and
yeah,
decks and car units and all kinds of shit from there. Minidisco.com.
yeah. I
Yeah.
bought. I'm not sure. I don't think I bought any units, but I bought discs for sure from them, and I think I bought, maybe just discs. And then there
Uh-huh.
was also a Canadian Minidisc website for a while that I bought from, because there, if you lived in Canada and tried to ship stuff in from abroad, taxes were a problem, and also sometimes there were some grabby postmen, so it was
Uh-huh.
better to do it from Canada. So, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, well, do you want to keep talking? We've been going for an hour and a half.
I got a couple things I want to chat about, and then
Let's
and
do
then
it.
call it a night. Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. So I got a list here. So you talked about, end of life, or what's going to happen? Are you going to, well, I didn't even really answer you, to be honest. Like, yeah, if suddenly there were no parts and I didn't have a friend that could, or simple repairs I can do, but there are certain people who have really good eyes or really,
Mm-hmm.
really nimble fingers who can replace those like worm screws and stuff. I can't do that. But if repairs like that can keep the thing going indefinitely, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, like there's no question I would do that. If suddenly all the units are bricked and there's no way to fix them, it's just going to be a sad sort of museum, I guess, my house for a lot of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but man, I mean, I love them for all the reasons you love them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, you know, I have gone in and out. Like when I was trying to say, I've reached 3 different existential places in my mini disc walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my
I
mini
hear
disc walk.
you.
Uh,
I mean, I have no desire to move away or not or start just streaming or anything. Um, I love physical media,
yeah,
and Minidisc is just an extra component to that physicality of owning your own stuff as opposed
yeah,
to streaming it or renting it or whatever the case may be. And the whole the curation of Minidisc too, the recording, the labeling the tracks, the putting the stickers on the discs, the
oh yeah,
getting it all. I mean, that's all part of it too. Like the fetishization of the whole, it's very very enjoyable to do that stuff.
oh yeah,
If it was a pain in the ass and it was a hassle, we wouldn't be doing mini disc. We do it because it's fun, it's enjoyable. So I'm not going anywhere. I'll probably buy some more units in the future. I only have like 8 or 9 units. that I have. And that's fine. Yeah.
Start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I don't want to go off too much on that, but just trying to follow up your question. Like, yeah, it's funny as time gets on too. I fall in and out of love with the latest minidisc units from like 2003 to 2005, and then I start falling back in love with the units that I first ever touched from like 1998,
in the 90s.
So it's kind of funny, but that goes with a lot of things for me. Maybe it's a midlife crisis. I don't know. Like I'm liking a lot of like the music that I liked when I was 19.
Yeah.
Still all I listen to, and it's a different topic, of course. But yeah, no minidisc. I'm with you for a while. I'm with you till the end. Yes. Yeah.
Till the end.
Unless
end of time.
I had to move house. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna. And I mean, move house, and suddenly had to live out a suitcase, or
Now, when you moved from Canada to Japan, and you said you got rid of a lot of your MD stuff, did you keep the discs and get rid of the recorders and players, or did you get rid of everything?
I don't think I got rid of everything, but I got rid of most of it. Most of it was gone. It was just I think I had some people that I sold off my last portable unit. I think right, 2008, so like that, 7, and then we moved like right after I got married. It didn't go to Japan immediately. Went to Korea for a while, and yeah, we were living in a one part of a larger apartment, but we were living in one room, and just couldn't take any of the stuff.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I sold it there, and I've obviously gotten back into it. But anyway, I wanna ask you a question now, since you asked me a question. So I was chatting with a friend. I'm gonna change topics just for a second, but come back to it. So I have not used it yet. It's a mouse, like one of these things. It's a gaming mouse.
Yeah.
It's called a Death Adder Elite.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm not a good enough gamer to use an elite or a professional or a general or a retard mouse. It doesn't matter. Like, but back when the Koof was becoming a big thing, and people are like, we can't get together. My friend's like, hey, do you want to play this online platform where we can play board games online? I can't remember the name of it.
Cool.
You pay $20. It's an application for your Mac or your PC, and then you can play board games. So we were playing Settlers Catan and a couple other games, and it emulates hundreds of board games. And you can actually, like, it's not like being there, but you use your headphones and use your mic.
Yeah.
You chat with each other, and you can actually touch the other person's pieces on the board and annoy them like you would in real life. So, but it's a good emulator. But anyway, he's like, you're gonna need a mouse. You can't use your touchpad. And I was like, we're gonna play on Friday. I was like, okay, I'll try to find a mouse. And he's like, well, I'll try to find a mouse. I'll try to find a mouse. And he's like, what do you mean find a mouse? I was like, well, I'm not gonna go to a shop for one. He's like, or are you scared of the? I was like, no, it's not that. It's because I don't want to spend new money on something that I may never really use. One, and two, I don't like giving. And I said this, I don't like giving these companies money for something like this. And he's like, but they'll go out of business. I was like, no, they won't. They're not going to go out of business. No company's is going to go out of business because I decide not to buy a mouse and I go onto the used market for one. And so I'm waiting for a used mouse, which I got and I've never used, right? Borrowing my wife's mouse. But he was mad at me because he's like, dude, you got to support these companies. I was like, well, but I want to support the guy that doesn't need the mouse anymore. Right? So he got mad at me. And I am kind of veering to sort of like, I don't know your take on like supporting, like you as like this individual. Do you have responsibility to support a company that you like, or? And in the MD world, obviously, when we buy an MD, we're not supporting Sony or Sharp.
Not anymore.
If Sharp exists, Iowa don't exist. JVC or a shadow of the former selves, etc. Like, but do you have any sort of twinges in yourself that you're worried about those capitalist corporations?
No, I don't even think about it, to be honest with you. If I have to buy something and it's available at 2 different places, and one place is cheaper. I'm buying it there.
Right.
There's no loyalty to, I'll just, yeah, if because you're saying you're supporting those businesses, right? Well, I guess you could look at it that way, but the other way to look at it is if that business isn't being competitive and serving its customers, why would you go there?
Right.
If the company you're talking about with to buy the mouse from, if they were super competitive and offering great products at good prices, why wouldn't you buy it from them?
Well, but if there's a used one, and
Well, I mean, if you can get a used, if it's the same mouse, right? Let's say you're going to buy a mouse,
right,
and it's you can buy a brand new mouse. It's the same model, everything. You can buy a brand new one from the guy down the street from who's selling a used one for $10.
yeah,
Or you can go to the store and buy a brand new one for $20. It's a no-brainer, right? You're going to buy it from the guy
yeah, for sure.
if it's the same thing.
Yeah. No, my friend, he added in like once he found out that I was adamant that I'm getting a used one, he's like, "But dude, you're gonna get," he's like, "You're gonna get one with a whole bunch of like rusty jizz on it." I'm like, "Ah."
Yeah.
And he added that, and I was like, yeah," but I cleaned it off, and it
Did, did you
probably
did you buy the used one?
I did. Like I said, I never used it. I don't even know if it works. I don't even know if it works.
Did you plug it in yet? I mean,
No, I never thought to do that.
yeah, you should have tested it.
Here, I'll plug it in here. I'll tell you if it works. It's got a USB-A.
You have to
Here.
you got an adapter, or would you have a USB-A on your Mac?
I'm using a dock down here that
Okay.
the Thunderbolt into.
Mhm.
Let's see here. It's actually a terrible dock. Oh, look at that. This thing lights up.
Oh yeah, it's a Razer. It's a Razer, Razer mouse.
Oh, okay, I know. Oh, the mouse is moving. It works.
There you go. Good deal. Boom.
Awesome. Yeah.
You win.
I won. I don't
Uh-huh.
think I got it for much of a deal, but I guess I've sold so many things online and in person, stuff that I no longer have any utility
Mhm.
for. And if there's someone that wants to buy it, it's helpful.
Yeah.
It is super helpful.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm gonna take the moral stance that I'm helping the guy that wants to sell his stuff. But also,
Well, no, you take the moral stance that you're helping you,
okay, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Screw those other guys. Screw the business. You're helping you, right?
there we are. Man, if my friend ever comes on, I want you to tell him that. I want you to
Okay.
in the chat. You tell him that. You
I
tell
mean,
him.
you're doing it. You're ultimately you're doing these things for you,
Yeah.
right? Are you going to go to that store and buy things that you don't want or need just to keep them in business? No.
Right. No.
Yeah. You're doing it for you, not them. And they're there to service you.
However, I've never used it except for right now, so I'm not even sure I did it for me because I ended up borrowing my wife's mouse, and now I've got a mouse I don't need. What I'm gonna have to do is find
You can sell it now.
Yes, sell it for what?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you'll make a couple of bucks. I don't know.
Well, it's true. Maybe. I mean, it lights up purple. Cool. I've never seen a mouse do that.
Yeah, it's a gaming mouse.
Yeah, you keep saying that. I don't know, but whatever. Last time I was a gamer. I was playing Quake 3.
Quake
3.
That was a fun game, Quake 3.
That was a fun game, and the graphics were... No, I know the graphics are better today, but my memory of the graphics is phenomenal.
Yeah, it still looks good. I think it still looks good.
Actually, this is going to bring up something new, and I know you were like, "Dude, are we done yet?" And I'm like, "Well, wait a second." Because question, I know in your recent podcast, and I'm going to cross wires here, you're talking about the Mandela effect, and this is not Mandela effect. Although maybe you should. There's some regular people here in the chat, some empty people in the chat,
some normies,
and some What's the Mandela effect?
The Mandela effect, it started, of course, hence the name, with Nelson Mandela. When it was announced that he died, thousands of people all over the world were shocked by this because they thought he died several years before. And it gave birth to the Mandela effect theory because there are certain things that people remember one way when in reality It didn't happen that way. And the thing that's curious about it is that lots of people remember the same thing, but it didn't happen that way. One of the ones that we talked about earlier was the comedian Sinbad. In the 90s, he came out with a movie called Shazam where he played a genie. And literally thousands and thousands of people remember this movie. But the movie doesn't exist. It's never existed. So how are all these thousands and thousands of people remembering something that doesn't exist?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously that's how I had it basically explained to me. I think the first time I ever heard about it was actually just like last year or the year before. I was listening to a podcast by a gentleman by the name of Owen Benjamin, and he was describing it, but he described what he thought was how he experienced Mandela effect. And I can't remember what it was about. It wasn't about Mandela, it was about something else. And then I think at that time I had thought about it, but I'm not going to bring up actual Mandela effect here. However, looking back, let's say the first time you listened to an MD, or like the first time you saw Super Nintendo graphics, something like that, the memory of that instance. And again, I'm crossing wires here because I want to think of, like, some of my memories are either better than the real thing or worse than the real thing. Like,
absolutely.
I can go back to the first computer game I ever really liked. Second game, sorry. Third game, sorry. First one was Wing Commander 2. Second was actually that was the second. First one was X-Wing. Second was Wing Commander 2, and the third one
those are great games.
Ultima 7, also by Origin, who did Wing Commander. In fact, it was a team of brothers. But Ultima is an old RPG game that started by this a Texan lad by the name of Richard Gareth. He wrote his first game in high school, and he sold it in floppy disks in like little zip bags. Sold it to his mates at school, and then he went on and became, well, I'm not sure a lot of people know him now because EA bought out his game system, his company, and when EA buy out your company, basically means everything you've worked for is gone.
Yeah,
they fold it in, and I don't know what they do, but when I go back and I play Ultima 7 from 1991, I believe is when it came out. So it's 256 colors, resolution 320 by 200, or 220. I think it's 320 by 200, maybe. 256 colors, all sprite based. Even if I were to say it's very detailed and you can pick up basically everything on the screen, even if I were to say that, I think you might be like, okay, you can picture what it would look like, because in your brain you're like, oh, Super Nintendo also did 256 colors on the screen, had the same resolution, etc. And there are some very good looking SNES games like Chrono Trigger and a couple other ones. But this one, every time I go back to it, even if I'm playing the regular DOSBox emulator, and it's been a little while since I have, or they have a new one that works on any modern operating system called Exult, and you can scale up the resolution and a whole bunch of other things, which actually break the game because the game is meant for 320 by 200. You can actually see beyond, like, if you go outside of that resolution, you can actually see stuff you're not supposed to see. But every time I go back to that game, it actually exceeds my first memory of the game when I was 15 or 16. I started playing it. I was like, back then, my scale for good graphics was Super Nintendo, and I think the PlayStation 1 had come out by the time I first played. It was 94, 95.
Okay.
And of course the PlayStation had better graphics, but I'd never seen anything so detailed in a video game. And even now, after having played what's that game that everyone talks about where you can like jump real high and become like a cheetah person? It's from the Elder Scrolls. It's
I don't know. I'm not familiar with those kind of.
Elder Scrolls, another famous RPG system, but it has cutting edge like 3D graphics, and it's supposed to be a really detailed world. But I've seen all that, and when I come back to Ultima 7, it looks like it just, no graphic I've ever seen in my life gets better than the first several screens from that game, where you just like, oh wow, I can pick up that box, and that box is on top of blood, and inside the box is this stuff, and you move it around. It's just, it's layer upon layer upon layer. Yeah, all 256, 320 by 200.
Right.
And I know this is not Mandela effect, but it's like this misalignment in my brain where I remember it looking good back then, but when I go back every single time, it's better. Have you ever had an experience like that?
Well, yeah. I mean, our memories are kind of malleable, right? I mean,
Right.
if like even if you were to remember a memory of you as a child, right, when you did something with some friends or with family, and you'd have this very strong memory. If you were able to hop in a time machine and go back and be an observer and watch that event roll out in front of your eyes as a
Right.
third person,
Right.
there would be massive differences
Mm.
from what you remember.
Right.
Right? It would be very, very different.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're perceiving reality right now through the filter of our beliefs, right? Of how we believe the world works. And that's the filter that as reality enters our brain, it goes through our belief system filter and then into our minds. And the same thing with memories. So yeah, you have some memories which are like you said, playing the game. I forget what did you say it was better now than it was, or
Every time I go back to it, it looks better than the memory I had of it.
yeah, because you're playing it on new equipment with a much better screen. Whereas back in the day, you were playing on probably a CRT hooked up to the antenna, and it wasn't the greatest picture.
No, I was
Whereas
playing on yeah, it was a CRT, but cathode ray tube. No, wait, no, it was
yeah,
1994. It was a Packard Bell. It's a Packard Bell computer.
okay, still a CRT though.
Well,
It's
it did. I
and it's
think up.
still it's the uh, there's lots of different components here, but if you look at it now and you're playing it on a modern screen using a modern software emulating old software, by default, it's going to look better.
Actually, you know what? Oh, two comments.
Yeah.
By the way, it is Skyrim. Somebody up there, Medieval. He's like
Oh,
Skyrim.
okay.
Skyrim I was talking about. The one that I
Uh-huh.
was referencing. That's like
Mhm.
3D cheetah people and they jump over walls and stuff. It's not Assassin's Creed. Never played that one. But okay, so my comment would be here. So I have a friend who upkeeps sort of a home arcade of sorts. He has
Okay.
pinball machines. He has some actual arcade machines using the original screens that he got.
Mhm.
By the way, that's the same guy that comes in and he's like, "Dude, why didn't you get the mouse brand new?" Uh, and he has it running on a Raspberry Pi. And I played the
Yeah.
same game recently on my. I've got a Neo Geo Mini, the little thing. It looks like a little arcade, and you got
Uh-huh.
little,
Oh, yeah.
and then you
Uh-huh.
could hook it to the TV. And that one, at least the firmware that I have, doesn't do scan lines. And if you do scan lines, you're missing half the resolution. But on his system, uh, I'm playing the same game through a CRT screen versus
Uh-huh.
my amazing low-end flat panel downstairs, and it looks better. His looks better. It's the scan lines make those sprites look.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, like they're like almost like
So
yeah,
so could it be, I mean, that was two things here.
yes,
Either your memory is faulty,
it's possible.
right? In other words, back in the day, it did look great, but you have a memory of it not looking that great.
No, I don't have a memory of it not looking. I remember when I first I was like, like that
Yeah.
that meme.
Okay. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
It's like it, the way I see it is I've seen games that have better graphics. It's just when I go back, it's like have games. Yes, they've got better graphics, but have
Mhm.
games surpassed the amount of details in this game, and it's not just detail for detail's sake. It's detail within an artful sort of inkscape. I don't know. It's
Yeah. Well, it's very artistic. It's not like they're trying to mimic reality. It's like an artistic vision, right?
yeah. I
Yeah.
guess so. That game just
Uh-huh.
blows my. I wish you had played it. Someone here, one of these guys. Oh, Medieval. Yeah,
Mhm.
this guy. He's a gamer, obviously. I remember
Yeah.
Ultima Red Gate Demon. Yeah. So the intro, it's got a little crappy sort of 3D, and the outro. If you finish the game,
Yeah.
spoilers. Uh, There's a crappy 1990s 3D sort of rendering of this demon coming
to get you.
Does
to
he
kill
come?
you.
I won't tell you if he comes through the gate or not, but it doesn't look good. But the 2D sprite world there, man. I wish you had played that. I would love. I could talk.
I have not played that game.
We would lose all of our audience. But,
but to kind of blend it into the Mandela effect, one of the most intriguing things about it is we all know memories are faulty. Yeah. We misremember things. We get some things right, some things wrong. Sometimes in our memories we even make things up. We manufacture parts of memories that didn't really happen, and we believe that it did. Yeah. But the thing with the Mandela effect is that we have thousands of people all over the world who don't know each other,
right,
remembering the same thing,
right,
that didn't happen.
Right.
That's the weird part.
No, yeah. I mean, by the way, I saw Mandela live. I told you right before the show. He came to Toronto in '98 or '99. And it came to the Sky Dome. It used to be called the Sky Dome. It's like where they play baseball and where the Argonauts play Canadian football. Maybe they still do. And he was there, and my school went. It was a field trip. No way, field trip to Sky Dome to listen to it. He spoke for about 5 minutes, and they had dancers. They had like little tiny fireworks or confetti going out, and it was like kind of like this field day. But then the mayor of Toronto introduced him. And he wasn't popular at the time, and so all of Toronto basically booed the mayor in front of.
They booed him in front of Mandela.
That was my memory.
That's awesome.
Like I'm not a Mandela fan, but at the same time, you boo the mayor of your city in front of a world famous leader, and you give that world famous leader an interesting impression of your own city. So yeah, it was.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But that's what.
Yeah.
That was my Mandela effect.
There you go. The Mandela effect.
I found out that he died in jail and died later on in real life. I was like, wait a second.
He died twice.
Yeah. Any
You said you had other stuff you wanted to talk about?
Last thing I want to ask you, man, is this. And I think we can, if anyone's got some questions after this, hold your. Yeah. If you got questions, guys, I'm gonna ask a question of G Dot, and then after that, if you guys got questions, just ask them, and then we'll. All right. So here's my question: is this?
All right.
Aside from Minidisc, and obviously it's not cutting edge tech at the moment,
right?
What tech, if any, do you keep up with right now?
What do I keep up with? Computers. I'm a Mac guy, so I have a lot of Apple stuff. I think that's movies. I mean, I'm a big Blu-ray, 4K UHD collector and DVDs. I have tons of those. Physical media, that's about it.
It's kind of interesting that you call it UHD instead of UD.
UD, yeah, 4K UD. Hey, can you imagine going into the store? Hey, do you have one of those TVs, the 4K UDs? Can I get one of those, please? A 4K UD?
You sound like someone that's going to be taken in by the salesperson, like immediately. He's like, okay, and sell this guy like a $3,000.
He's like, oh, this he called it an UD. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going to get this guy. Oh yeah. I have a story actually that just reminded me of mispronouncing things. This was in the late '90s. Late '90s, early 2000s, when Pierce Brosnan was still James Bond,
right?
And my wife and I went to see. I don't know which Bond movie it was. I can't remember, but it was Pierce Brosnan was Bond, and we were waiting in line to get into the movie theater, and there was a guy in front of us, and he was on his own going to see the movie, and we walked up to the to where you go to pay. The guy's in front of us. He walks up and he says, can I have one ticket, please, for 007? Right? Because everyone knows it's 007, right? But he's like, can I have one ticket for 007? I remember I looked at my wife and I was like, and he went in. We saw the movie and everything. We came out. And we left the movie theater. We were walking through the outside. There's like all these stores. So we were in the store. My wife was looking at clothes and stuff. And I was looking at these sweaters, and she came over to me and I said, "Hey, remember that fucking idiot in line with us?" And he said 007. And she said, "Oh yeah, that guy was stupid." And I turned around and he's standing right there, dude. It was a little embarrassing, but that just
Also,
sparked a memory there.
also kind of an interesting reaction from you guys. You're like this guy's an idiot. I was
I
like,
mean, no, but I mean, who calls it Z? Come on, seriously.
what if this guy? What if he's like the last guy in your like? What if he lives outside of the city and he only reads books?
Oh, I don't know, but I mean, come on,
That's true.
everyone knows it's 007, please. You know, unless you landed on Earth yesterday, you know, I mean, you're gonna know it's 007, not 007. But anyway, this was obviously 20 plus years ago. It was a weird little.
Was that Tomorrow Never Dies? I wonder.
I don't
GoldenEye.
know. I don't remember which one it was. It was, but it was Pierce Brosnan was Bond. I don't remember which movie it was though.
I didn't really the Tomorrow Never Dies wasn't so I didn't like that one, but it was I think it was almost too complicated and too prescient for a James Bond movie. GoldenEye was pretty fun, and of course the video games that came out of that
Yeah.
were I mean phenomenal.
Huge. Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, that's
GoldenEye.
what
Yeah.
to say about that. Any questions from the peanut gallery?
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
Anybody?
you done with your tech stuff? Wait, you know what? Actually, got one more comment. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so we talked for a second about Techmoan. Don't want to go
Yeah.
too. What I love about Techmoan is he is he he's obviously excited about the stuff he reviews, but he's
Mhm.
not. What's the consumer face? Just
Yeah.
so he's stoically talks about stuff
Because
that's really
he's a fan. He's a fan of tech.
yeah
That's
yeah
what it is. He's not. I mean, obviously he is a consumer, but he's not a consumer.
yeah yeah
He's a fan. Like
yeah
what you can see it when he looks at like old hi-fi equipment.
yeah
He's like, oh look at this, and this is
yeah.
great, and he's into it. It's a good channel. I do enjoy watching it.
I don't watch it as often as but every time I go back, it's just like it is inspiring because yeah, you can tell the enthusiasm isn't it's not like exuding over the screen like like
Yeah.
a like it's not like he doesn't have to show it in his face. It comes out in the way he talks about things, but it's not emotive. And
Mhm.
so just the last thing I just want to just mention is uh, I do because I'm a photographer. There's a lot of cutting edge sort of things in the photography world and then the audio world. And one thing that got a little bit tiring was the sort of constant wait for something new. One, but
Mhm.
two, sometimes you need the new thing that's going to come out. But how you talk about the new thing doesn't have to be. When I go onto forums, because I'm interested to know when do people think this thing's coming out? Because, for instance, I'm using this MacBook Pro. I like it,
Mhm.
but it makes a lot of noise and gets very, very hot doing some of the render stuff that I have to do.
Right.
I used to have an iMac Pro, and that one's gone.
Mhm.
And I needed for a short time something that worked on battery, and so I got this. But this is a very popular device that probably millions of people have, and
Uh-huh.
it's not that unique. But I do see people when they do reviews of it, and it looks like they're on some sort of upper. They just talk about
Yes.
this, or it looks like their body is starting to respond in a way that happens after
Uh-huh.
puberty when you see certain
Mhm.
magazines like a bra magazine or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like it's a computer, and there's a couple of channels that I really do like that talk about cameras. One of them is D Preview or DP Review. I don't know, and they talk about things from a technical perspective. But then there's also this like there's either like the 15-year-old who's looking at naughty magazines or a 5-year-old who's on a sugar high, and
Uh-huh.
they're combined in this image. I'm watching a grown man, like a 30 or 40 or 50-year-old, turn into something that he isn't over a piece of tech that millions of people have. And one thing, when I talk about something, when I look at a piece of tech, in the back of my mind, it's like I get worried. Like, are you super excited in like an orgiastic way about something, and like about a piece of tech?
Well, it's a performance.
Yeah.
It's that's all it is. You're in front of the camera, you're performing. You don't want to see someone like, hey, yeah, I got this new computer.
It's true,
Yeah,
but if you do every single
cool.
video,
Because I know, but you're not. But when you see those videos, they're not. You're not seeing the real person. You're not seeing them.
yeah,
You're seeing an act.
no, it's true. It's true.
They're like, hey, today on the show we got the latest. Instead of just like, hey, I'm gonna look at this computer.
We got the ladies, but there's like
They're
there's
acting.
yeah, there's acting, but there's acting, but then there's like the type of there's an actor. We all understand actors. There's actors who sound like they have a lot more saliva in their mouth than they actually do, or who eat too much, some sort of like testosterone reducing or testosterone enhancing or estrogen enhancing like supplement. There's people. I think there's actually people who aren't just waiting for the new MacBook. Because they need it. They need it like almost existentially.
Yeah, I see
It's
what you mean.
in place of their spirit or something. And
Yeah, as far as computers, I'll I'll buy a new computer when I need to buy a new computer.
yeah,
I mean, when the new Mac come, right now they've switched from Intel to their new Apple Silicon machines,
yeah,
which are incredibly fast,
yeah,
which is making Intel and AMD very, very nervous because the speeds on these machines is just off the fucking charts.
yeah.
And they don't even get hot.
They don't. I have a MacBook Air. It's pretty good down there.
Did you get the M1, the new one, or was it an
It's
older one?
specifically, I had an old I had
Yeah.
the old Air from 2014, which I
Uh-huh.
loved. But that thing was starting to get warm
Hot.
doing normal stuff,
Yeah.
and just simple things I needed for
Mhm.
Photoshop took a long time. And
So
the M1
the
zips.
flies, right? It fucking flies, and the M1 Air doesn't even have a fan.
No fan.
There's no fan in there, and it's all done through thermal. The heat it dissipates through the chassis of the
Yeah,
aluminum casing. Um, so when like you earlier on, you were mentioning about the new iMac, which was probably going to come out in June, and that's going to be the M1X processor, which is going to be obviously significantly faster than the M1. Completely new redesign.
yeah.
It's going to be awesome. But the point I'm making is as much as I look at those items and I drool and I'm like, it'd be so nice to have that. I won't buy one until number one, the machine I have doesn't do what I need to do.
Right.
Right? If the machine I have is slow and overheating and it's a pain in the ass, taking forever, at that point it's like, okay, it's time to buy a new computer.
Right.
But if it's doing everything that I need it to do, why am I getting a new? I mean, I'd like to get this new one, but I don't need that. Everything's fine. Everything works. You know?
Those are wiser words have never been spoken on this channel.
Yeah, So we'll see. I mean, I'm probably in a year or two I'll get a new machine. When
I've got a comparison coming up. And don't know if it'll be this week. I actually probably going to redo it. I'm going to take my MacBook Pro,
Mhm.
put it next to the MacBook M1, MacBook Air,
Uh-huh.
sorry. And I'm going to time the same.
Oh, that's
It's
awesome.
called what is it called? Stack shot. So when you're doing macro, if you've ever used a macro lens and you get in close to something, you'll notice that even though you're shooting at what you think is a slow aperture, like f2.8,
Uh-huh.
11, you won't get everything in focus. So what you need to do is you need to set the focus various points throughout a photograph, and then use software to compress it, put it all together, so you get uber detailed fly or a pinhead or something like that. And the software I use is called Helicon Focus, and that one I've done up to I think 200 images put together like that on my old iMac Pro. And I was originally going to compare the iMac Pro to the MacBook Pro because I downgraded to that, and there is significant difference there. And I don't believe that Helicon Focus has yet been updated for the M1. And there's another piece of software I use called Topaz AI, which then upreses, and it's incredible. It's incredible. I made a joke about it in either, I think a live stream like half a year ago that it doesn't, well, anyway, some people got the joke and some people didn't. And maybe even if they got the joke, it wasn't the best joke. But anyway, or my presentation wasn't very good. But that piece of software has not yet been updated for the M1, and upresing a single photograph to, or downresing it to half resolution, minutes.
Yeah, because it's using using the emulator. What's the software? I'm brain farting. There's a Rosetta, Rosetta 2, and that translates it to the M1. And there's been a lot of reports that even using the Rosetta on Intel software on an M1, it's still significantly faster than running.
I mean, that error on some software that hasn't been updated is faster than my Mac Pro on software that is done for the Intel.
Yeah.
But that software is one. Well, anyway, you'll see the video. But Helicon, I'm surprised. I don't see significant difference, even despite the fact that Helicon not being updated for the M1, and the MacBook Air being a much lower end, like half the memory. Who knows what the CPU is like?
I think you'll be surprised. I think you'll find that for single core processing, the MacBook Air is going to beat the crap out of your MacBook Pro as far as speed.
Oh, by the way, Phil Glockner, who's basically answered every question so far, he's like, well, Phil at Medieval, he's like, focus bracketing? Yes, focus bracketing.
There you go.
You do it in camera, and certain new cameras, you can select like a point and then an end point, and then say how many photographs need to be taken in between. I use oh, you can't see it here. I use a motorized focus unit, and it has a rail that's 300 millimeters long, about like that. And you can go, and it moves by, I think, 0.10 or 0.20 microns. So, or UM or whatever that is. And so you can basically, for along 30 millimeters, you can probably take probably 30,000 images. Now, my computer would never be able to handle that. But if you were able, basically, depending on your shooting aperture, and if you go in close, your effective shooting aperture gets much smaller. But depending on that, you're going to get a certain amount of depth of focus. And what you want to do is take the next shot within the sort of acceptable blurriness of the next shot, so that you don't get lines. You want your transitions to be amazingly smooth, and then you get super detailed shots. And basically, my advertising photography business wasn't always macro, but it was usually half macro to full macro for high-end stuff, and I always relied on that. And so for me, it's quite interesting to see how the M1 holds up to more. Well, processor had been on the market for a long time for that.
So they've you said you had an iMac Pro, and they've recently discontinued.
Gone.
It's gone. So there's probably a couple of reasons why they're doing that. One is they're going to come out with a new iMac Pro, which will be the M1 equivalent. But another reason is because we know that they've redesigned the regular iMac, and they're going to release that. Yeah. And if they release an M1 regular iMac for which is going to be half the price of a low-end iMac Pro,
right?
And it's outperforming an iMac Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing about the iMac Pro, that thing was, the advertising was amazing. It was whisper quiet. And I heard when I was doing that Helicon focus and then doing Photoshop at the same time, shouldn't do that. But if you're doing it at the same time, then you would hear
the fans would kick in,
but only like this. then you knew that the computer was struggling. Otherwise, it was whisper quiet. So my expectations for an M1 iMac are pretty high, but mainly, yeah, I mean the whisper quiet thing. I mean, these portable computers, man, this MacBook Pro, this thing gets hot and loud, and
it does.
So
yeah, I have a MacBook Pro also that I use for work.
Yeah,
and that can get a little toasty on the Intel side.
And then plus the connections are horrible on these new ones. I mean, it's just got USB-C and that's it.
That's it. That's the future. That's it.
I don't like the future, man. I
like the future. I mean, I'm still using. I got 2 Apple Cinema displays right here. From back in the day. I've had them forever, and they work superbly.
Back in the IBM days, or IBM, the Bluetooth, the Blue Thunder, the Blue G5 days.
No. These are the. They discontinued these in, I think, 2012 or 2013.
Right.
Is when they discontinued them, but I got to use one of these to get it to work.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've got one of those for my is it for my ADC? Yeah, for my ADC. But my ADC right now is
from Thunderbolt 2 to Thunderbolt 3.
Yeah. I use one of those.
But it works great. I mean, the picture quality is phenomenal. It's a little over 1080p, so it's like 2K and a bit resolution. So it's higher than 1080p. It's like I don't know what is the resolution on this thing. I don't know. I'll have to look.
I remember back when I was really into computers, like I was like, oh, I could figure out any setting in just a second, but now it's just like I just kind of wanted to.
Oh, there you go. It's 2560 by 1440.
Best resolution. Honestly, higher than that, at least for photo editing, sometimes you got to get right into the pixel, and it's like you got to keep zooming.
Yeah.
I love that resolution for photo editing, at least. Obviously, 4K or UD or UD. You won't be able to do UD with that.
But UD. Yeah. Any questions from the guys in the chat box?
Peanut Gallery. Any questions from you guys? Because I think we're ready to bring it on.
Bring it on.
Down.
Because I know it's still daytime for you, but it's starting to get late over here.
Yeah, it's getting late over there. And it's like an hour later than usual or something like that. I have no idea what's going on over there.
Times they are changing.
Yeah. Just cleaning off my my keyboard.
What is that? Like a
rocket.
Oh, it's a rocket.
Yeah.
Blow some air.
Yeah, so I clean out my ears sometimes like that. Blow through the other side.
That's awesome.
Looks like we don't got any questions. Although, well, listen. Do you? I got one more sip here. So if by the time, oh man, what's my vote? Wait, what's this? Oh, MDLP or optical in and out. So I have to choose one.
Oh, why can't you do both?
Just a second here. Okay, so he was talking about the Apple HD display.
He meant to say NetMD or optical in and out. We talked about this earlier. I'll go first.
Do it.
Optical. But I do use NetMD a lot, but I would always go optical if available.
All right. Yeah. So there's a third option, which is put your disc in to your deck and your mini disc, and then have them just do it there. So I don't know how that does. It's probably optical inside. I've done a lot more recordings via optical, but recently, because NetMD is fast, and as long as I don't need gapless playback, it's basically NetMD every single time, unless I'm doing some personal recordings of certain albums that need optical or analog output. But yeah, NetMD every single time.
Oh, you mean like you initially meant, you mean like the decks with the MD and the CD built into the deck?
Right. Like this Sharp I have over here, or the Onkyo that I have over there. Got a lot of these decks. Yeah. We'll cover them in the new channel.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know
that channel.
Let me know when it's up.
Yeah. But we got a couple more questions here. Did you play Ultima 8, and how radical was the graphics change? Medieval, I assume by your question that I'm going to assume, make an ass out of both you and me, that you have not played it because you're asking me, was the graphics change radical? The graphics change was incredibly radical. If you had played Crusader, No Remorse and No Regret, it's the same graphics engine, but the graphics are not 640 by 480, they're 320 by 200. And of course, they're all 3D modeled in 1993. So they are. Ultima 7 for me looks a lot better. Ultima 8 is very dark and there's not a lot of grass. You don't get the weather shifts in the same way. You don't get it. They are technically, I guess you could say, better graphics because they're smoother. There was something like 15 frames per second, whereas Ultima 7 is like 4 or 5, which is very. Unless you've played it, you won't understand that. But yeah, Ultima 8 looks better from that perspective. The walking animation is much better, all that. But the world, while you can open things and move things, etc., it just doesn't feel as rich. And so, and there's also something weird about 8. Like, I played it. It was the first game I'd ever played and actually got scared of. Like, I actually got spooked, and I don't like zombies, and there's a zombie section, and just the sounds they made and the way they moved, and then the dark atmosphere of the whole game, and it just seemed like there was no light at the end of any tunnel. And there was no tunnel; it was just darkness everywhere for Ultimate. And so, Ultimate looks great. The music is amazing, but the arcade sort of feel of it, everything contributes to make the game look and feel worse than Ultima 7 while being technically superior, I guess. Yeah, that's how I would say it. It was a radical graphics change. Didn't like it. Anyway.
Can I show you? Can I share my screen and show you a game that I play?
Yeah, bring it on.
Let me I'll share this screen.
Oh, you know what? I just realized, I think I answered the question WebMD rather than, I think you were saying NetMD. I haven't used NetMD in years. Last time I used it was back when it came out, so I only use WebMD. Oh, anyway, go ahead, show your action. Your action.
Yeah. Where's it at? There we go. I'll bring it over here. There you go. Can you pull up my screen? You have to.
Oh yeah. I have to do that. Oh, add to stream. Yeah, there we are.
There you go. You see what this is?
Final Doom TNT. You got a lot of Doom stuff going on over there.
I can move it over.
Oh,
there you go. Remember this?
Yeah, of course. I played it when it was on Shareware. Or Shareware. It was just the first chapter. It was original Doom, Knee Deep in the Dead. I think.
I don't have my joystick hooked up, so I can't. It's like, oh, there we go. Here we go. Hang on.
Oh, but you've got it. It's got the modern mouse controls, because when that originally came out, it was auto aiming, but it was all on the same plane. You couldn't look up or down. So this has got proper 3D. Wow.
Yeah. Play a window on your Mac, and it's got like you can go into the options and set all your controls.
Your sound is going a little weird. Probably you're eating up everyone's bandwidth.
Yeah, I'll quit.
Yeah. Well, that's Doom is a great game.
Yes, that's every Doom game is on there. So yeah.
I haven't played basically after Doom 2. I haven't really played Doom, so
good stuff.
Yeah, I quit basically gaming for me. Oh, I'm going to remove your action right there.
Yeah. Okay, there we go.
All right, let's see here. And then let's see if we got more questions. Then we'll just wrap her up. Phil's talking again. I swear I use Sony's software MZ M10 to do LP2, 4, and high MD. It's been a while. Oh,
yes, Sony's software. I saw it Sonic Stage. I haven't used it since like the early 2000s, but I remember it being a piece of shit.
It wasn't very good originally.
It was horrible.
Some people like it. I never really liked it. So.
No, me neither. I mean, the WebMD thing now is like it's like a breath of fresh air. It's so much better. So much better.
Oh yeah.
If only it would do mono.
Yeah, for anyone who missed it, Gareth he's the mono guy.
If only they would do mono. But other than that, I love it. It's very, very cool. Yeah.
Medieval's like, I did play both, so I misread your question, or I misread the intention of your question, and you also like 7 better. Man, I would love sometime to just do a stream about Ultima 7. Gareth, You better start playing some games,
Oh,
man.
I should get an emulator going and check it out and play with
The
it.
thing about Ultima, though, it is one of the first RPGs that really built upon the world that it created in previous games.
Uh-huh.
And so from Ultima 4 on, they changed the theme of the game to have you as the main character sort of try to embody an avatar, a god, essentially. And like you existed in the game not to destroy all the bad guys and not to kill everything and become, in a sense, the worst thing in the game because you trigger all the bad events, and then the bad guy who was just sitting there as an Easter egg is now he has to be killed. But it was the aim was to get you to be virtuous. And Ultima 7 sort of screwed that up, but it still retained the virtuous aspects from Ultima 4, 5, 6 through 7, and then 7 Part 2 sort of destroyed that again. 8 was completely off the map, but like the game became richer because it was the same place. The music.
Do you still play it?
Are you kidding me? Okay,
Yeah.
when I
You
say, "Are you
still,
kidding me?" Yeah, I love that game. It's the only game that I still play. However, I've not played through it completely in about 5 or 6 years. So I
oh,
play it off and on just to get some sort of inspiration for. I mean, there's one section of the game where you're given a deed. No, wait, no, that part's broken. You're given a treasure map or something like that, and you use a sextant to find the actual location on the map, and then it's this horrible lake where there's just trash everywhere, and you're supposed to find. No, I'm screwing this up again. Wait, I can't remember exactly, but there's like a key inside of a fish, and there's trash everywhere. And you literally just sorting through trash. You picking each piece up, and if it's like a fish, which could be a dead body, you double click it and to look what's inside of it. And sometimes like the fish had swallowed a frog. Inside the frog it's you spend
yeah.
hours.
I'm looking at it right now. I just pulled up the a YouTube video on it. I'm looking at the video. Yeah, it does look very 90s, but very, very detailed, very clean.
Game. The sound is incredible. The the characters that are in your group have real characters themselves.
Mhm.
You don't have to be the virtuous avatar that you're supposed to be in the earlier games, but there's still the elements of virtue, and you're still supposed to follow sort of a new.
It's like the early days of Warcraft or Diablo, that kind of gameplay. That's what it looks like to me.
It's you'll see it's quite different. You'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's an isometric view from that era, so yeah,
Mhm.
there's definitely some similarity there. Anyway, um, Phil Glockner has had his questions asked or answered about WebMD. Awesome
Thank
guy.
you.
Thank you very much. Maddie Divine, hey Rock, does that work via Spotify? Okay, we got some back and forth there. Rock
Spotify.
will be the answer. Yeah. And yeah, I think basically that's it. If you guys have any more questions and about MD, definitely Rock has suggested it. He's given you a good answer. Check out the FB group. There's people there who are into repairing. There's people who are tweaking with software. There's people. I mean, we had Stefano Brilli on to talk about WebMD. Phil Buckner, definitely check that out. It's a very good app. You don't need to install anything.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah, yeah,
Really cool.
yeah.
Lifesaver.
Absolutely, it's amazing.
Yeah, big time.
And I guess next time we'll talk
Yeah.
about my new Minidisc only channel.
I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to that once you get that up and running. You want to do this again next week? Same bat time, same bat channel?
Let's see. Let's see. At the moment, every 2 weeks
Okay.
works best for me.
I'm good with that.
If you're good in 2 weeks,
Yeah,
then I
sure.
can do that.
Let's
And
do
it
it.
also gives me one extra week to get that channel started. So yeah.
Yes.
And
Send
you
me
got
a.
a carpet or something on your wall, so you're
I
not
know.
getting.
I gotta clean this up and put
Yeah,
some stuff up. Put some posters or something. I'll put.
Minidisc. Paste them up.
I'm gonna pretend I'm 13 again and put Star Wars posters up.
I'm better than that. Get into this week if you have time. Ultima 7. Dig into it. Print out or buy a map. The map. By the way, the maps of these old Ultima games used to be printed on cloth.
Oh man.
Yeah. But
That's
the new ones after they started installing everything on CD. No, but like get an app. I used to have an avatar. Like every time I flicked open my phone, usually a proud father shows his wife and his daughter, and mine is the avatar.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool, man. Well, I'm really looking forward to your MD channel and the content you'll be throwing up on there. I will subscribe immediately. I know there's a lot of mindset people in the chat, so please subscribe to Nathan's channel. Give him some love. Hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up and all that good stuff. And hopefully, some of you will be converted to seeking out mini discs and digging.
Yeah.
Maybe you had mini discs back in the day, and you're going to find them in your closet in a box or something, or and start getting back into the format, because it is a great format and it's a lot of fun to use the discs and the players and the recorders and to curate your music. It's great.
Yeah, and thank you, all you mindset people and all you MD people, and if there's any normies in the crowd, thanks for sticking with it, and
Yeah.
hopefully you'll join our weird circles eventually. So yeah,
Cool deal.
Gareth, thank you again also for coming out, man.
No problem, man. Anytime. Talk to you in 2 weeks.
All right, and you know I think I'm gonna even go out. Oh, I'm gonna put. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take. How do you do this? Wait. Oh, I almost banned you.
Oh, don't ban me.
I'm gonna put up my outro, and if anyone wants to keep chatting for like 3 or 4 minutes, you can do it while this thing
There
goes.
we go.
All right, guys. See you
See
later.
ya
In
later.
2 weeks. You keep chatting amongst yourselves. See you guys.
Bye-bye. Farewell.
Bye-bye.